friends. Welcome to Story Behind Podcast. This is the show for people who love hearing a good story and who believe the world could use more positivity. We're the team behind GodUpdates and God2, and we hope these weekly short stories will brighten your day.
Cancer survivor shocks everyone with his fourth lottery win. Written by Heather Riggleman, read by Julie Provost. This cancer survivor shocks everyone with his fourth lottery win. How can anyone survive cancer and win the lottery 4 times? The story of this man right here, it feels like the book of Job wrapped in a plaid jacket and carried through the snowy wind of Alberta with a smile and a lottery ticket. David Sirkin, a humble man from Lethbridge, Alberta, knows a thing or two about life's hard roads. He's a cancer survivor, a man who has walked through the fire, felt the sting of uncertainty, and still wakes up grateful. And now he's standing in a season of blessing that's nothing short of jaw-dropping. David didn't win the lottery just once, not twice, but 4 times. 4, that's not luck. That's just something that whispers of the divine, of a God who sees, who restores, and who sometimes chooses the most ordinary moments, like buying a gas station ticket, to pour out the extraordinary. On May 3rd, David won another $1 million in the lotto, 649 classic draw. That came after winning $500,000 in August, another $1 million in November, and even $250,000 over a decade ago. He said, "I know the odds are astronomical. I didn't think that this would happen again, but I still like buying tickets." And isn't that the life that God has sometimes? Astronomical odds, and yet here we are, breathing, hoping onto grace like it's the last warm cup on a winter morning. David said, "I'm a cancer survivor and I'm retired, so I'm just grateful for all of it." And those words, they echo like a hymn across the walls of our weary hearts. Because here's a man who knows loss, who's walked through the doctor's offices and sleepless nights, who knows what it means to wonder if you get another tomorrow, and yet he's grateful. He bought that winning lottery ticket on an ordinary day, pumping gas, thinking, what do I have to lose? And I just can't stop thinking, what if that's how we lived every day, not expecting lightning to strike, but believing God could still show up in 1,000 small, beautiful ways. His wife is in awe, and wouldn't you be too? After each win, they made memories. First Hawaii, now Newfoundland. And his friends, after the latest win, they sat in a coffee shop and couldn't believe it. Again, they said, and you know what I think? I think heaven leaned in and smiled, because our God is still in the business of surprise endings and redemption arcs. This story isn't just about money, it's about mercy, about the God who gives and takes away, and sometimes gives again just to show us he never left. David's story is a testimony, plain and simple. It's a reminder that God's math is different. His timing is wild, and his goodness, it can find you anywhere, even in a Shell station on a Fairway Plaza Road. Because sometimes, when you walk through the hardest valleys, God brings a sunrise so bright it takes your breath away. The Lord blessed the later part of Job's life more than the former part. Job 42:12.
At Thrivent, planning your finances is bigger than money. It's a way to support the people, causes, and community you love. Because helping you put your faith into action is at the heart of what we do. Thrivent, where money means more. Connect with us at Thrivent.com.
Hey, this is Chris from the Salvation Army's podcast, Words of Life. This 15-minute weekly show features testimonies, interviews, and conversations on topics impacting the church today. Check out some recent and upcoming episodes on Words of Life. We are currently in a series with author and podcaster Rachel Wojo as we focus on encouraging you to have an even deeper and more meaningful prayer life.
I think breath prayers are just breathing in a phrase of, Jesus, I need you.
And next month, we'll be joined by author, speaker, and counselor, Dr. Zach Clinton.
Upwards potentially of 50% specifically of men that would argue and say that they don't have one person in their life that they feel safe enough to open up to or to talk about, in a sense, heartfelt things. That's not just a problem, man. That's a disaster.
Listen to Words of Life on your favorite podcast store or visit wordsoflifepodcast.org.
They adopted a baby boy, then extended extraordinary grace to his birth mother. Written by Michaela Gordoni, read by Julie Provost. It was only a week after one couple adopted a baby boy that they decided to make another huge decision, involve his birth mother as much as they possibly can. For Chris and Jennifer Schobinger, that meant staying in touch, sending hundreds of photos, and creating yearly binders that detailed everything the little boy learned and did. showing that adoption is more than a blessing for adoptive parents, but also a gift for birth parents and children. I think the lesson we've learned is that sometimes we create barriers where barriers don't need to be, said Chris. And when we pull down these barriers, we find love on the other side. Birth mom Shauna Austin was just 20 years old when she decided that the best thing for her baby would be to place him for adoption. She called him Riley and held onto him as long as she could, which was just 3 short days. I knew I would have him for a short time, so I made every minute count with him, Shauna said through tears. Riley's adoptive parents named him Stephen. The adoption was originally closed, meaning Shauna would have never contacted him. However, the Schubingers fought to make sure she received photos and updates on him. When she was ready, she came back into his life when he was 7. You know, you can't have too many people loving you, right? Why couldn't he be both of ours, Chris said. Stephen is now 28, and he has stayed close to his birth mom since he was 7. I kind of got the best of both worlds for sure, Stephen said. I was blessed beyond words, Shauna said. Stephen is now married and has a 2-year-old named Riley. Felt like that name was just supposed to be in the family, Stephen said. Grandma Shauna, Chris, and Jennifer are all smitten with their grandson. She showed grace, and that's an easy thing to reciprocate, Chris said about Shauna. I think we all put up walls, right? Because we're scared, because we don't agree with someone else. But Grace doesn't like to live behind walls, Chris explained tearfully. I mean, kindness is a sign on the doormat that says welcome. But grace is that small print underneath that says our relationship with you means everything, and we are so blessed to have you and to know you. What an amazing story of grace. Since it was a closed adoption, the Schubingers could have easily kept that door shut or assumed negative things about Shauna. Instead, they fought to make sure she could meet her son if she wanted to. They showed her how valuable her gift was to them, opening their arms and giving her unlimited grace. Incredible.
Thank you so much for listening to Story Behind Podcast. We're really glad you joined us for this week's story. To see photos and videos that may have been referenced in this episode, check out the links in the show notes. And if you enjoyed what you heard today, subscribe to our podcast, and please tell a friend about us. We'd also love it if you'd rate us and leave us a review. It really does help more people find us. Story Behind is a Salem Web Network production.
Everyone wants to change the world. Capital Ministries is doing just that, one heart at a time, by creating disciples of Jesus Christ among political leaders in the U.S. and foreign nations. For more than 25 years, founder Ralph Drollinger has written Bible studies specifically for public servants. Study along with us and learn what the Bible says about capitalism, communism, abortion, same-sex marriage, and other contemporary issues. Subscribe and follow us at lifeaudio.com or search Capital Ministries on your favorite podcast platform.